Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hope Without Sight with your host, Sailor Cooper. And normally my co-host, Tyler Evans, would be here, but he's off doing some other stuff. He's at a Bible group, so it's just me here. But on today's episode, first of all, it's episode 34. I have a very special person who's a cancer survivor, and indeed, she's overcome cancer without medical treatment, and she's going to tell us more how. Please welcome Alexi Bracey. Alexi, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm just totally delighted.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I believe we met on Podcasters Connect and Collaborate, right?
That is correct. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and there we're learning about affiliates and all that, which is great. So get me started. Tell me about yourself and the journey you've been on.
Well, anybody that's listening, just imagine you get a phone call and the voice at the other end says, "You have cancer. We want to book you in for your surgery." Like, what is your reaction? What do you say? Do you cry? Do you yell? Do you faint? For me, it was like dead silence for, 10, 15 seconds. And I just quietly said, "Thank you." And as I hung up the phone, there was this little voice inside of me that said, "You're going to beat it." I mean, I remember that so distinctly. You're going to beat it. I knew nothing about cancer. I knew nothing about health. I knew nothing about diet. And so this is like 23 years ago, where the availability of the internet is today. Spent 3 months. And for me, it was a game changer, an eye opener. And so I implemented a few changes. And based on that, the results were that without any medical intervention, drugs, or surgery, a year later, I was cancer free. So that started me on my journey. So primarily it was mindset, definitely mindset. But we have a lot of emotional trauma that has been linked to various diseases if you don't overcome them. There's a test called ACE, capital A, capital
ACE.
C, capital E. Yeah,
the adverse childhood experiences. I'm familiar with that. Yeah, because I've seen it on videos where they ask doctors, pediatric healthcare providers especially, they ask both children and parents about traumas they've overcome, and for each, it's a 10-point question, a 10-point questionnaire, and for each question, the parent and child endorse a yes, the child gets 1 point. And the higher the ACE score is, the more prevalent children are known to have more complications later in life, such as cardiovascular disease, stroke, diabetes, mental health issues, even suicide if trauma is not dealt with accordingly.
That's so true. Like our cells have memory and they retain that memory. And it's the same thing if you think of it. When you water a plant with good water, it grows.
It does, yeah.
But all of a sudden, if you start using chlorinated water, the plant's not going to grow. Why? Because it has some kind of memory, the cells going, "This isn't what we had the last time. I don't really like it." So our cells in the human body are the same way. So, if you have a sore pinky, do you ignore it or just let it go? If you have then it goes into a sore knuckle. Do you address it or do you let it go? You've got a sore wrist. Do you address it or do you let it go? So it's the same thing with our emotions in our cells. Unless those things are addressed, they become a bigger trigger, like you mentioned, for various diseases as we get older.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, did you have trauma in your life or what?
Well, everybody's had trauma,
Everybody,
to
yeah,
various
makes
degrees,
sense.
to various degrees, and
To various
some
degrees,
of
yeah.
it people forget about. Some people don't remember. Some of it can be neonatal or before when your mother was pregnant, or ancestral from her, from her background. So I had, nothing significant like some stories that you hear, but
No,
yes, I did have some, So it's a matter of forgiving, because there's a really good story. Two prisoners of war are walking on their way to freedom, and the one says to the other, "So did you forgive them?" To which the first says, "No, never." To which the first replies, "Then they have you prisoners in your mind." So
right.
unless you forgive and let go, you're going to be, I guess, haunted, or those cells are going to be all scrunched up. So, forgiveness is, that's not saying what they did was good, but you just forgive them for your own mental health, for your own longevity.
Yeah, you do. Makes sense. You forgive them.
Yeah, so another thing that I really focused on was environmental toxins. And I did not know how toxic a world we live in. For example, the umbilical cord today of a newborn contains more than 300 chemicals, environmental chemicals. The number one death for cancer for children 16 and under is either brain cancer or leukemia, again related to environmental toxins. We're chemicalized, we're radialized, our water, our air, our food, our furniture, our clothing, and these toxins play an impact on our bodies, on our cells.
They sure
So,
do.
yeah, so, I got rid of the, toxic cleaning products, and toiletries, and I've gone on to learn more along the way, and we just have more chemicals being introduced every year that are not um, government regulated. And
No,
so, it's about being educated.
it is. It's all about being educated. So you had no medical treatment whatsoever. So as I'm understanding it so far, you you just had good positive thoughts with the mind, and you got rid of you avoided toxic chemicals, right?
Right. And then I went on a plant-based diet. It was raw food at the time because it was a really hot item where I was a chef to start with, so I just switched my traditional chef hat to one of raw food. I'm still a supporter of a plant-based diet versus meat, and I've been doing this for 23 years. I've been teaching it. I've been written about it. I've got recipes, and cancer does not support a meat-based diet, and it has been proven over and over again for optimal cancer recovery. It's plant-based, whether it's prostate or breast or whatever cancer, it doesn't matter. So, like the saying goes, we are what we eat.
Yeah, because your diet can also affect your mind as well, I've heard,
That's very true.
not just your weight.
That's right.
And so you were cancer free right after a year, right?
Right.
Now, what cancer was it?
It was uterine cancer.
Uterine, I see. Oh, and the cancer never came back after that,
No,
or what?
no, no, it never came back. And I'm, still as healthy as ever. I don't take any pharmaceuticals. I have my own teeth. I don't have any root canals. I don't have any, didn't, haven't had hip replacement or knee replacement. I don't have high blood pressure. Don't have heart issues. I'm physically active. Um, I don't wear reading glasses. Um, and what can I say? It's all about a positive mindset and really being cognizant, I think, of what we surround ourselves with, be it food or toxins or chemicals, but also friends. We need friends that are like minded So we have something to look forward to discuss, to support one another, you know?
Exactly. Surround yourself with good friends that are like-minded, that have the same ambition, and avoid stress, because stress is a killer, you know.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of things you can do for stress, besides, the yoga, the Tai Chi, the meditation. They're all good, but there's a lot of other things. What I like is a practice called Blue Mind, which was started by Dr. Wallace Nichols, who's a retired marine biologist. And he says anytime you are in, on, or near water, or hear the sound of water, you are in a semi-meditative state. And so if you think of it, why do people flock to the islands in the wintertime or go to their cottages in the summertime? It's the calming effect of water, the smell of it, the waves crashing against the shore, walking barefoot on a sandy beach, hearing
It sure is.
the he took a group of retired Marine veterans who were all suffering from PTSD to repopulate the corals down in the Caribbean. They all recovered
Yeah.
because of that connection to water. And if you think of it, we spend the first 9 months in water in our mother's tummy,
Yes, we do.
and water births are becoming more popular these days.
Yeah. And also, the philosophy I have as it relates to, money and work, because indeed that can affect stress, is always put your health first. Money is not so important. I mean, yeah, sure, you need it, to pay bills and stuff. You don't have to have, you don't have to have luxury, but you do need money to pay the bills. But at the end of the day, if you're not wealthy, it's okay, but don't overwork yourself.
But if you don't have your health, basically
Yeah,
you have nothing.
you have not.
To me,
Yeah,
it's definitely number one. Absolutely.
yeah, your health is. And what I like, because you see, I'm becoming an entrepreneur myself. I have this podcast, I have an internet radio show. I'm also getting into speaking as well. I like that I'm being surrounded by many other entrepreneurs who are working hard, but at the same time, they seem to have it all together when it comes to their health. I mean, unless I'm missing some stuff, because of course I'm not with them 24/7. But like when I'm on Zoom, um, they just seem to be in good spirits. And I've known some people who are just overworked, who are not always like that.
Yeah, well, you have to take the time to be grateful too. I think that's a very big thing for me. And I think everybody should spend more time to be grateful for the things in your life, even the bad things, because the bad things teach you something. Like, for example, for me, I'm grateful. I say cancer saved my life, because
Yeah.
if I had not been diagnosed then, I may not very well be around today.
No.
And what I have learned, I've been able to teach and inspire and coach many people on their journey to health, So you have to be grateful, not just for the good things, but for the bad things as well, because there's a lesson there to be learned.
Absolutely. I agree with you. But, at the same time, don't let the bad things overtake you. There's just a certain way of just how you deal with it.
Oh, absolutely. That's very true.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. And um, I like that we're having this conversation. It's great. So, of course, you've been cancer-free. Of course, my co-host is normally here, but I want to tell you his mother beat cancer 3 times, breast cancer. And each time she went to remission. But sadly, she passed away in November of 2020. Oh, our favorite year, right?
No, absolutely.
But
That's for sure.
it wasn't COVID, but she did passed away because of pneumonia.
Mm.
But she was a fighter. Also, I have a grandfather who's had lung cancer. He was diagnosed last September with lung cancer. And we weren't sure if he was going to make it, but I mean, he's been at one of the best cancer treatment facilities in the world, in the Anderson Hospital here in Houston, Texas. And they believe he's going to be cancer-free very shortly.
Good.
Yeah, which is good.
Like the saying goes, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're also right.
Right. Exactly. So besides being a chef, you're an author. You've written books. Tell me about that.
Well, they're
about
all
those
about healing.
endeavors.
They're all about healing in some capacity, whether it's, like I really focus on being emotionally available, mentally motivated, physically active, environmentally friendly, and nutritionally superior in your food. So it's sort of like a combination of different things that we have to focus on. And so, the big thing that really opened my eyes was the environmental toxins that we are just surrounded with every day. So I took extensive studies on that, and I go into homes and do home inspections, and I say, well, you've got a meter, so I can gauge how much electromagnetic frequencies you have, if your wiring is off, or if you've got mold in the corner, or where do you store your paint? Is it in an airway that goes into the house from your garage? Because everybody stores their paint in the garage, which is the worst place to store it.
Yeah.
So it's a real eye opener for people, because we never knew this kind of stuff, and these toxins weren't around 20, 30, 40 years ago. So,
No.
there's just so many different facets that encompass good health, be it cancer or heart disease or diabetes or whatever, because none of these things are diseases. They are symptoms. There are symptoms of what cause primarily some kind of dull habit that you're neglecting.
Exactly. Yeah, they're just symptoms. But I mean, what we have known, environmental toxins that can kill us, or stuff like, of course, carbon monoxide. It just doesn't harm us; it can kill us.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's why we're thankful that we have a CO detectors
in the house. That's right.
Yeah. So where can people find your books?
I have an app called the Whole Health app. Actually, wholehealthacademy.ca, which is the website. Best places to connect with me is on LinkedIn. My name on LinkedIn. There's only one Alexi Bracey there. And for your listeners, I have a free quiz that I'll gladly send them. They have access to determine, maybe how many toxins you have in the house and what you can do about it.
Yeah. Do me a favor, if you could please send those to my email. I'm pretty sure you have my email.
Yeah, absolutely will do.
If you could send those to my email so I could put it in the show notes, that'd be great. Because I did ask you in Calendly if you had any like affiliate programs, and you said you're working on it.
Yeah, I do have affiliate programs. Sort of having a few challenges with the technical stuff of it, but yes, I'm very much interested in supporting anybody in their capacity in health in any way.
Understood.
And in closing, if I may share what I have a daily practice of doing, how I show gratitude is I like to put a chuckle into people's hearts by sharing a joke. So I approach strangers at the dog park, at the grocery store, at the ATM machine, complete strangers, and I say, can I put a chuckle in your heart? And like I said, why a chuckle? Because behind every face, there is a story. Maybe you lost a loved one, maybe you lost a job. So for 2 minutes, I have a captive audience. They laugh out loud. It feeds my soul. It lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. It raises endorphins, the feel-good hormones in your brain. And laughter has been shown to promote longevity. And they may think about it all day and go home and share with a loved one and say, oh, I met this crazy woman at the dog park. She shared a joke, but it was really good. So having said that, very quickly, a lady takes her 4-year-old daughter to deliver meals to seniors who are shut-ins. And this little girl is totally fascinated by all the equipment the seniors have, the wheelchairs, the walkers, the canes. And one day she notices a set of dentures sitting in a glass of water, and she's totally mesmerized by it. She keeps on staring at it and staring at it. And finally she says to her mother, the tooth fairies never believe this one.
Oh, wow.
So just a little thing to put a smile on people's faces.
That's great. That's great. Well, um, so like, what are your future goals as far as entrepreneurship?
I'd like to have, well, I'm going to start my own podcast in April. And I'd like to have my own TV health show, be on a TED stage. Those are my
Ooh,
immediate goals for sure. And just to see how other opportunities will unfold.
that's great. Yeah. And I hope I can be on your podcast eventually too. And my
Oh,
goals
yeah,
include
absolutely.
paid speaking gigs, TEDx, and
Oh, yeah, for sure.
yeah. So that's wonderful. Well, I don't believe I have anything else for you, but as my customary ending, I like to ask everybody, what message would you give anybody who's struggling right now and doesn't see a way out? Yeah, hello?
Good. Yeah, good food for thought. Absolutely.
What was that?
I said good food for thought.
Good food for thought. Yeah, yeah.
And at the end of the day, what are you grateful for?
Yeah. Be grateful for that.
That's right.
All right. Well, Alexi, thank you so much for being on Hope Without Sight.
Oh, it's been my utmost pleasure. Thank you so much. And I look forward to reciprocating on my podcast show.
Thanks and stay blessed.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thanks. We hope you feel renewed, inspired, and encouraged, like you can just carry on and conquer the world.
Please hit the subscribe button on all platforms and tell your friends and family to do the same.
Blessings to all.